Welcome back to this historic ABC News presidential debate tonight. We're going to continue here, and I want to turn to the war in Ukraine. We're now 2.5 years into this conflict. Mr. President, it has been the position of the Biden administration that we must defend Ukraine from Russia, from Vladimir Putin, to defend their sovereignty, their democracy, that it's in America's best interest to do so, arguing that if Putin wins, he may be emboldened to move even further into other countries. You have said you would solve this war in 24 hours. You said so just before the break tonight. How exactly would you do that? And I want to ask you a very simple question tonight. Do you want Ukraine to win this war?
I want the war to stop. I want to save lives that are being uselessly, people being killed by the millions. It's the millions. It's so much worse than the numbers that you're getting, which are fake numbers. Look, we're in for 250 billion or more, because they don't ask Europe, which is a much bigger beneficiary to getting this thing done than we are. They're in for $150 billion less because Biden and you don't have the courage to ask Europe like I did with NATO. They paid billions and billions, hundreds of billions of dollars when I said, either you pay up or we're not going to protect you anymore. So that's maybe one of the reasons they don't like me as much as they like weak people. But you take a look at what's happening. We're in for 250 to 275 billion. They're into 100 to 150. They should be forced to equalize. With that being said, I want to get the war settled. I know Zelensky very well, and I know Putin very well. I have a good relationship, and they respect your president, okay? They respect me. They don't respect Biden. How would you respect him? Why? For what reason? He hasn't even made a phone call in 2 years to Putin, hasn't spoken to anybody. They don't even try and get it. That is a war that's dying to be settled. I will get it settled before I even become president. If I win, when I'm president-elect, and what I'll do is I'll speak to one, I'll speak to the other, I'll get them together. That war would have never happened. And in fact, when I saw Putin after I left, unfortunately left because our country has gone to hell. But after I left, when I saw him building up soldiers, he did it after I left, I said, oh, he must be negotiating. It must be a good, strong point of negotiation. Well, it wasn't, because Biden had no idea how to talk to him. He had no idea how to stop it. And now you have millions of people dead, and it's only getting worse, and it could lead to World War III. Don't kid yourself, David. We're playing with World War III, and we have a president that we don't even know if he's... Where is our president? We don't even know if he's a president.
And just to clear...
Listen here, man. Trump for the win. Trump for the win. Trump for the win. It's absolutely sad that we actually have to sit here and be in this conversation and have this conversation in the United States when, for real, a lot of people are out there dying on these streets. A lot of people are getting blown to pieces. And, oh, we up in here in America, living good, drinking our Starbucks, having a grand old time, worried about little things. When people are losing their lives, getting blown to smithereens. And these dudes don't even want to make a phone call. Y'all are that weak. Come on, man. This is insane. I'm sorry. I'm not with the happy joy. I'm with the get stuff done. We need to be them. We need to be in control. I'm sorry they put Kamala Harris up to this, man. I'm really sorry. I feel bad for her, man. She's not ready. She's not ready. No.
They threw him out of a campaign like a dog. We don't even know. Is he our president? But we have a president,
Mr. President,
that doesn't know he's alive.
Your time is up. Just to clarify in the question, do you believe it's in the U.S. best interest for Ukraine to win this war, yes or no?
I think it's the U.S. best interest to get this war finished and just get it done.
All right.
Negotiate a deal, because we have to stop all of these human lives from being destroyed.
I want to take this to Vice President Harris. I want to get your thoughts on support for Ukraine in this moment, but also, as Commander-in-Chief, if elected, how would you deal with Vladimir Putin, and would it be any different from what we're seeing from President Biden?
Well, first of all, it's important to remind the former president you're not running against Joe Biden, you're running against me. I believe the reason that Donald Trump says that this war would be over within 24 hours is because he would just give it up. And that's not who we are
right
as
away.
Americans. Let's understand what happened here. I actually met with Zelensky a few days before Russia invaded, tried through force to change territorial boundaries, to defy one of the most important international rules and norms, which is the importance of sovereignty and territorial integrity. And I met with President Zelensky. I shared with him American intelligence about how he could defend himself. Days later, I went to NATO's eastern flank, to Poland and Romania. And through the work that I and others did, we brought 50 countries together to support Ukraine in its righteous defense. And because of our support, because of the air defense, the ammunition, the artillery, the javelins, the Abrams tanks that we have provided, Ukraine stands as an independent and free country. If Donald Trump were president, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv right now. And understand what that would mean, because Putin's agenda is not just about Ukraine. Understand why the European allies and our NATO allies are so thankful that you are no longer president, and that we understand the importance of the greatest military alliance the world has ever known, which is NATO, and what we have done to preserve the ability of Zelensky and the Ukrainians to fight for their independence. Otherwise, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv with his eyes on the rest of Europe, starting with Poland. And why don't you tell the 800,000 Polish Americans right here in Pennsylvania how quickly you would give up for the sake of favor and what you think is a friendship with what is known to be a dictator who would eat you for lunch.
Vice President Harris, thank you. We've heard from
Let's talk about that. Let's break that down a little bit. She didn't say anything about what she would do about meeting with Putin, because she will never meet with Putin. She doesn't want to meet with Putin. She has no interest in meeting with Putin, which does not make sense. And on the other hand, Trump knows the both of them. Trump knows the both of them. He can easily call one, call the other, get them together. It's that simple. Let's make this happen. I don't know why we're making this so hard. Why are people dying, in other words? Why are people dying? Get it together. Let's make this happen. What do you need? What do you need? Let's compromise. Let's figure this out. War ends now. Today. But no. We don't want to talk to Putin. Putin is bad. Putin is evil. You may not agree with Putin, but they just told me 50 of the countries and the islands and whatever the case may be that is in NATO is going up against Russia, and they are getting blown to smithereens still in the Ukraine. Just Russia alone. It don't add up. It don't make sense. We're funding all of these billions and trillions of dollars into this war. Yet, there's still so much people dying daily. It's been over 2 years. This is wild, man. This is wild. And that's how the world works. This is how politics works. This is why you need strong leaders running your country, because if a strong leader sees a weak country, you know what that strong leader is going to do? That strong leader is going to take over that country. That's how it's always been. And we don't want to look like the weak ones out here. It's the United States of America. This is the greatest country ever. We looking like the weak ones compared to Russia, compared to China. Although we are not the weakest. We're probably the most powerful. We are the most powerful, I believe. But when it's all said and done, everything got to be ran through the United States. Let's continue, man. Let's finish this off.
both of you on Ukraine tonight. Afghanistan came up in the last hour. I wanted her to respond to something you said earlier, and I'll give you a minute here.
Putin would be sitting in Moscow, and he wouldn't have lost 300,000 men and women, but he would have been sitting in Moscow. Quiet, please. He would have been sitting in Moscow, much happier than he is right now. But eventually, you know, he's got a thing that other people don't have. He's got nuclear weapons. They don't ever talk about that. He's got nuclear weapons. Nobody ever thinks about that. And eventually, maybe he'll use them, and maybe he hasn't been that threatening, but he does have that. Something we don't even like to talk about. Nobody likes to talk about it. But just so you understand, they sent her to negotiate peace before this war started. 3 days later, he went in and he started the war because everything they said was weak and stupid. They said the wrong things. That war should have never started. She was the emissary. They sent her in to negotiate with Zelensky and Putin, and she did. And the war started 3 days later. And that's the kind of talent we have with her. She's worse than Biden. In my opinion, I think he's the worst president in the history of our country. She goes down as the worst vice president in the history of our country. But let me tell you something. She is a horrible negotiator. They sent her in to negotiate. As soon as they left, Putin did the invasion.
President Trump, thank you. You did bring up something. You said she went to negotiate with Vladimir Putin. Vice President Harris, have you ever met Vladimir Putin? Can you clarify tonight?
Yet again, I said it at the beginning of this debate, you're going to hear a bunch of lies coming from this fellow. And that is another one. When I went to meet with President Zelensky, I've now met with him over 5 times. The reality is it has been about standing as America always should, as a leader upholding international rules and norms, as a leader who shows strength, understanding that the alliances we have around the world are dependent on our ability to look out for our friends and not favor our enemies because you adore strong men instead of caring about democracy. And that is very much what is at stake here. The President of the United States is commander-in-chief. And the American people have a right to rely on a president who understands the significance of America's role and responsibility.
Democracy won't matter if people get blown to smithereens. I promise you that much.
In terms of ensuring that there is stability and ensuring we stand up for our principles and not sell them for the benefit of personal flattery.
We've talked about Ukraine and Vladimir Putin. I do want to talk about Afghanistan. It came up in the first hour of this debate. I want to move on to Afghanistan.
Stoltenberg said Trump did the most amazing thing I've ever seen. He got these countries, the 28 countries at the time, to pay up. He said, I've never seen. He's the head of NATO. He said, I've never seen. For years, we were paying almost all of NATO. We were being ripped off by European nations, both on trade and on NATO. I got them to pay up by saying one of the statements you made before, if you don't pay, we're not going to protect you. Otherwise,
Simple. You guys want our protection? Let's make it happen. You guys want their protection? Make it happen. But at the end of the day, somebody got to pay for our protection. If we the greatest, if we the most strongest, we got the best weapons, we got the biggest nukes. What side do you want to be on when it's all said and done? And this is it. This is honestly, it's sad, but this is actually real life. It's real life. It's kings and kingdoms out here that are being taken over and conquered, and people are dying just like the old days. It's always been like that. But this is the worst possible situation because there can actually be nuclear weapons. Like, we've seen what happened when nukes are being dropped. Millions die. Millions. It's not no little. They drop a bomb and New York is gone. That's how big nukes are. It's sad, but this is the type of game that these people in these positions are playing. And our general, this VP that has been here for the past 4 years, has just let it slip away. Unfortunately, they let it slip away. They're caring too much about little compared to the world problems, compared to the majority of people's problems. They're caring about the little part of the problem. Because nobody will care. We live in the United States. It's so great over here. It's so great, even though the crime is crazy. It's so great over here that you can worry about these little situations compared to not having to worry about your house getting blown up. That's the honest truth. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments below. I'd really like to know y'all thoughts, man. This was a good one. Till next time, make sure you hit that like button, leave a subscribe if y'all are new. Peace.